you ever felt like something deep inside you is shifting, but you can't quite explain what it is? It's as if the world around you still looks the same, but you're no longer the same person. You wake up, you move through your day, but there's a whisper, something calling you, quietly, but constantly. A pull, a signal, and maybe, just maybe, it's not random. Maybe you're not going crazy. Maybe this is the beginning of your spiritual awakening. You're here for a reason. And no, it's not a coincidence. This moment, this exact video, these exact words, they're showing up now in your reality because your higher self is ready to remember. Your soul is tired of being asleep. You've been living in autopilot, programmed by a reality that wasn't designed for the real you. But something is happening beneath the surface, a fracture in the matrix. And if you've been noticing synchronicities, repeating numbers, strange dreams, emotional shifts, and an intense desire to isolate, you're in the process of awakening. This isn't just a trend. This isn't just a spiritual phase. This is the unraveling of your false self and the rebirth of your soul. In this video, we're going to explore the 5 stages of awakening within you. And make no mistake, awakening is not about being peaceful all the time. It's messy, it's emotional, it's powerful, and it's real. From ego death to dark night of the soul, to quantum reality shifts and the discovery of your higher consciousness, every stage is a step toward the version of you that your soul always knew existed, the version of you that's finally ready to rise. Right now, something is waking up inside you. You're beginning to see through the illusions of society, of identity, of fear. You're starting to ask, who am I? Really? Why am I here? What is my purpose? These are not small questions. These are soul codes activating, ancient truths breaking through your programmed self. And if those questions have been haunting you lately, if you're feeling disconnected from your old life, if people around you don't understand what you're going through, then you're right where you need to be. We live in a world that's built to distract us. Everything is noise. Social media, politics, fear, validation, endless comparison. It keeps you looping in low vibrational frequencies, disconnected from your true power. But when you start to awaken, really awaken, that noise becomes unbearable. You crave silence. You crave truth. You crave God. You begin to realize that the universe is not just outside of you. It lives inside of you. The energy of creation, of connection, of consciousness. It's flowing through your cells, your thoughts, your breath. And when that awareness hits, everything begins to change. This video isn't just information. It's a transmission, a vibrational seed planted directly into your soul, a map to help you understand the strange, beautiful chaos you're experiencing. These 5 stages are not someone else's journey. They're yours. And once you see them, you won't be able to unsee them. So if your life feels like it's breaking apart, if you're losing old friends, questioning your beliefs, having emotional waves you can't explain, don't resist. You're not falling apart. You're waking up. And what comes next will shake everything you thought was true. Before we go any deeper, I want you to pause for just a moment. Breathe in and feel that energy inside you begin to move. You're not watching this by accident. You were guided here. Something greater, call it God, the universe, or your higher self, brought you right here, right now. Because this message is not just meant to be heard, it's meant to be felt. If these words are already resonating deep within you, it means your awakening has already begun. And I need you to do something powerful, something symbolic, right now. Scroll down and type in the comments, I'm ready. Don't overthink it. Just write it. Because the moment you declare, I'm ready, you send a signal. Not just into the algorithm of YouTube, but into the algorithm of the universe itself. You tell the divine, I'm open, I'm willing, I choose to awaken. And let me tell you, that choice matters. It's energy in motion. When you say, I'm ready, it's not for me, it's for you. It's your soul stepping forward and saying, I remember who I am. Every person who types those 2 words in the comments adds to a wave of light that spreads across this space, connecting souls from every corner of the planet. Together we are building a community of consciousness, people who no longer want to live asleep, who no longer want to hide from their truth. So before you continue watching, take that step. Comment right now. I'm ready. I'll be reading every single one of them. And tonight, as this video travels through the hearts of millions, I'll take a moment to pray for each of you who said, I'm ready. I'll ask that divine energy surrounds you, that clarity, peace, and strength fill your mind, your heart, and your home. Because this isn't just a video. This is a vibration of awakening moving through you. And as you do that, hit that like button. Not for vanity, not for numbers, but because every like tells the platform that this message matters. It helps this light reach others who are searching in the dark just like you were. By liking this video, you're literally helping awaken another soul. You become part of the mission, part of the transformation. Then, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because what's coming next in this journey will change the way you see everything. Life, energy, time, and even God. We're building something sacred here, a space where truth meets light and science meets spirit. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment "I'm ready" below. Say it out loud if you need to. Let it vibrate through your entire being, because after this moment, there's no going back. You're stepping into the light, and soon, you'll see why this is no coincidence. And now, let me tell you a story that may feel like your own. Because for most people, the first stage of awakening doesn't begin with a miracle. It begins with an ache, a quiet emptiness, a subtle disconnect from everything that used to make sense. There was once a man who seemed to have it all figured out, at least from the outside. He woke up every morning, checked his phone, sipped his coffee, and drove to work listening to the same radio station, stuck in traffic, stuck in life. He smiled when others were watching, laughed at the right times, played the role perfectly. He was a father, a husband, a professional, a good man by society's standards. But deep down, he felt hollow. Every day was a copy of the last, and even though nothing was wrong, everything felt wrong. He couldn't explain it, but there were moments when he'd look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. Not because his face had changed, but because the light in his eyes had faded. That fire, gone, replaced by a cold fog of numbness. Something inside him whispered that this couldn't be all there is, that there had to be more. This is how the first stage of a spiritual awakening begins. Quietly, unnoticed, not with thunder, but with a restlessness you can't silence. A spiritual itch you can't scratch. And so, he began asking questions. Who am I really? Why do I feel so disconnected? Why do I feel like I'm living someone else's life? These are not just passing thoughts. They are awakening signs. They are cracks in the ego, the beginning of ego death, the slow unraveling of an identity that was built from the outside in. Achievements, status, roles, expectations. And when that structure begins to collapse, there is fear, but also liberation. You see, when you're asleep in life, you follow patterns. You live for validation. You suppress your intuition. But when you start to wake up, you begin to question. And that questioning is sacred. That is self-realization starting to bloom. That is inner transformation waking up in your bones. And if you're listening right now and this story feels familiar, like it was written about you, then you are not alone. This is the doorway. This is the first ripple in the illusion. This is stage one of the spiritual awakening stages, the unconscious awakening. You begin to feel tired of your own life, exhausted not from doing too much but from being someone you're not. You no longer feel excited by the things that used to matter. You may even start to withdraw, feel emotionally distant, and question the very fabric of your reality. That's not depression. That's awakening. And maybe, for the first time ever, you're starting to feel everything. Not just the joy, but the sadness, the grief, the truth you've buried under decades of pretending. You feel broken, but you're actually cracking open. So I ask you now, did this first stage speak to your soul? Have you looked in the mirror and seen a stranger staring back? If even one sentence in this story echoed your experience, I want you to scroll down right now and drop it in the comments. Tell me, what phrase hit you hardest? Because your story matters, and your awakening has already begun. And then it happens. Something snaps, quietly but undeniably. One day you realize that everything you believed about yourself no longer fits. The titles, the labels, the goals you once chased with so much certainty, they all begin to crumble. That carefully crafted identity starts to feel like a costume you've worn for too long, and suddenly it becomes unbearable. This is what we call ego death. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's terrifying in its silence. You feel like you're standing in the middle of your life, surrounded by everything you built, but none of it feels like home anymore. The ego death process is the collapsing of the false self, the part of you shaped by trauma, expectation, fear, and programming. And when that part of you begins to dissolve, it creates space. But that space feels like emptiness at first. And that emptiness can be brutal, because now you're exposed, raw, undefined, floating in a space where nothing feels solid anymore. The things you used to love don't light you up. The people you used to lean on suddenly feel distant. Your dreams, the ones you thought would bring you happiness, seem hollow. And you begin to whisper, sometimes in fear, sometimes in hope. Who am I now? This moment, right here, is sacred, because after the collapse comes the spiritual search, the part of the awakening journey where your soul starts reaching out, grasping for something real, something true, something higher. You begin searching for signs. You fall into books you've never read before. You listen to voices that stir your heart. You start meditating, journaling, praying, not because someone told you to, but because your inner world is begging for answers your old world can't give. And in that search, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel connected to something much greater than yourself. You begin to feel the presence of a higher consciousness, something watching, guiding, whispering softly that you're not lost. You're being led. This is where the journey deepens. The illusions fall away, and what replaces them is the beginning of truth. The sole purpose you're here for begins to flicker like a flame inside you. You may not fully see it yet, but you can feel it. You start sensing meaning in the smallest things, numbers on a clock, patterns in conversations, dreams that feel like memories. Life begins to speak in symbols, and your heart starts listening. This is where transformation takes root. You are no longer running from your pain. You're walking through it, and it's shaping you into something new, something real. Of course there's fear. Of course there's doubt. That's part of the path. Everyone feels lost here. But the difference is, you don't turn back. You can't. You've already seen too much, felt too deeply. The old world no longer has a grip on you. And if you've ever felt this hunger for truth, this desperation for meaning, this fire for something more, I want to know. Go to the comments right now and type, search, because this part of the awakening is where so many give up, but not you. You're still here. You're still listening. You're still seeking. And that means everything. And then, something begins to shift again. But this time, it doesn't feel like collapse. It feels like emergence. Like a light you forgot you had is finally turning back on. It's subtle at first. You wake up one morning and there's a strange lightness in your chest. A calm you haven't felt in years. A quiet clarity that whispers, you're becoming who you really are. This is when your authentic self begins to rise. Not the version of you that was shaped by expectations, fear, or survival, but the real you, the soul underneath the mask, the one who doesn't need approval to feel worthy, the one who speaks with truth, who lives with heart, who walks in alignment. And suddenly, the world you once knew starts falling away. You lose interest in shallow conversations. You say no to things that don't resonate. You feel drawn to silence, nature, creativity, stillness. Some friendships fade, and at first that hurts. But deep down, you know it's sacred. The people who once matched your frequency no longer recognize who you're becoming, because you're rising, vibrating higher, stepping into spiritual alignment. At this stage, life becomes deeply symbolic. You begin to notice synchronicities, numbers, dreams, signs. Your intuition sharpens. You walk into rooms and feel the energy instantly. You meet people who mirror back your transformation, some as teachers, others as tests. Everything carries a message now. You realize nothing is random anymore. You start to feel your soul mission tugging at you, not as a command, but as a deep, loving reminder. You were born for more than this. And it's not about fame, or money, or being special. It's about being true, living with purpose, serving with integrity, giving your gifts to the world not because you have to, but because you can't not do it. There is a sense of peace here, but not the kind that comes from comfort. It's the peace that comes from alignment. You're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer chasing a version of success that doesn't fit your spirit. You wake up, breathe, and feel whole, even if everything around you is still shifting. And yet, it's not easy. This emergence demands that you show up, that you choose authenticity over approval, that you let go, again and again, of what no longer resonates. Because as you rise into higher vibration, anything that vibrates lower naturally begins to fall away. Old habits, toxic patterns, outdated beliefs, they can't follow you here. But that's okay, because what's replacing them is you, the real you, the one you forgot, the one you buried under roles and routines, the one who's finally ready to live. So if you're in this phase right now, if you're watching your old life unravel while a new, truer version of you begins to take form, I want you to pause for a moment, breathe, and type authentic in the comments below, because that word, that energy, that declaration is everything. You are not broken, you are not lost, you are becoming, and the next step will take you even deeper. And now, here you are, still with me, still listening, still feeling. After all the inner chaos, the emotional waves, the quiet nights of questioning and crying and seeking, you've reached this moment. This exact frame in this exact video is not random. There are no coincidences in this level of consciousness. The fact that you're still watching means something powerful. You're awakening in alignment with your true self. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange but beautiful unraveling of everything you thought you were. The peeling away of illusions. The sacred discomfort that shows up right before clarity. You didn't ask for this awakening. Your soul did. And now it's guiding you back home. Throughout this journey, we've passed through layers of shadow and light. You may not even realize it, but you've already lived through the early stages of awakening. The silent unrest, the ego collapse, the painful search for truth, the sacred emergence of who you really are. And now something greater is beginning to rise inside you. A deeper divine connection, a call to serve, to live with clarity, alignment, and truth. Because awakening isn't just for you, it's for the world. When you rise, you lift others. When you heal, you break chains that were never yours. And when you live in alignment, truly, courageously, you become a vessel of light, not in a poetic sense, but in a real, grounded, spiritual sense. You start to live a conscious life, not reactive, but intentional. You walk with presence. You speak with purpose. You serve with compassion. And that's the secret most people miss. True awakening always leads to service, not out of obligation, but because you feel the connection between all things. You can no longer turn away. You feel called to be part of something bigger than yourself, part of healing, of elevation, of the shift that humanity desperately needs right now. This is your spiritual evolution in motion. The universe has been preparing you for this. Every loss, every confusion, every tear, every strange synchronicity was all part of it. You've been in training, quiet, spiritual, invisible training. And now, it's time to answer the call. You are not who you were. You're becoming the version of yourself that was always meant to rise. A soul in motion, a light in the dark, a guide for others just beginning their path. And as we close this chapter of the video, I want you to remember this truth. You're not alone. You've never been. This awakening is not the end. It's the beginning of something extraordinary. A life aligned with divine timing, purpose, clarity, love, and truth. A life where you stop surviving and finally start living. So now I invite you, not as a viewer, but as a soul, to take the next step with me. Go to the comments and type, "I'm ready for the light." Or, if that feels too big, just type light. Either way, say it, declare it, anchor it. Let the algorithm and the universe know you're here, you're awake, and you're stepping in. Hit the like button if this message touched your heart. It helps us reach more souls who are still searching. Subscribe now and turn on the bell, because in our next video, something truly magical is coming. You're seeing these numbers for a much bigger reason than you think. We'll explore the numbers, signs, and synchronicities that follow you. Those repeating patterns? They're not random. They're messages. And next time, we'll decode them together. So be ready. And finally, if you know someone who's struggling, questioning, or silently waking up, share this video with them. You might be the light they didn't know they needed.